So, patch notes 8.11 are out, and really quick, we can just look at it. They have made some drastic changes to Duelist, particularly ISO, Neon, and Raze. The other two changes are pretty minimal. They also added a new map, in case you didn't know. But yeah, I just thought that'd be good to make a new tier list for what agents you should be playing in competitive. Obviously, this is not for Premier. This is not for any type of coordinated 5v5, no VCT. This is strictly for if you are, just you or maybe even a duo, but mostly just a solo queue ranked tier list. So first, let's look at the changes for ISO. So ISO has been underperforming across all skill brackets, as they say. Leaning into increasing ISO's signature ability output is intended to make ISO more reliable at challenging contested spaces. Now, this is pretty common with all the agents. For Neon, Reyna, and Raze, they all changed their signature ability to some point, except for Raze, I guess. But yeah, so ISO now, as soon as he activates his double tap, he gets his shield straight away, rather than having to get a kill before this. And they also added a kill reset to it, so kind of like Jet Dash or Neon Slide. As soon as he gets 2 kills, he gets it back. And ISO now receives a wall penetration tag instead of a standard heavy penetration tag. He's slowed less upon the shield breaking, so that's not really and doesn't really change much. Yeah, and so rest of these are just kind of tiny little tweaks. So yeah, I think ISO, after playing a couple comp games, is extremely strong right now. I don't know if he's A tier or S tier though. He's definitely A tier. His double tap getting it straight away is so so strong, especially if you have ult, because you can just pop your double tap, ult somebody, and you just instantly get a fight that you have an advantage in. Like that 50-50 fight is no longer a 50-50. It's more like a 70-30% chance that you win, 70% chance that you win, 30% chance they lose. Or you lose. So I think it's so strong right now. I'm gonna have to put ISO for ranked. I'm gonna have to put him, I think, bottom S tier. However, for pro play, he's definitely still down in like this D tier, F tier kind of area. He just doesn't have that movement needed in pro play. Next agent is Phoenix. Phoenix didn't get any changes. He's honestly not that good. I'm gonna put him probably top of D tier. If you know how to play him, then he's pretty good, but most people don't know how to play him correctly. And even if you do know how to play him correctly, there's still so many better duelists that you can play. So next character is Neon. So Neon got a bunch of crazy changes. As they say, we want to sharpen Neon as an agent who excels at taking mobile fights directly to their opponents. A bunch more of just random stuff. But so fast lane dissipates from behind to minimize visual noise in the combat space while giving cover for Neon. So basically what that means is, if you imagine like a wave, kind of like how her ult comes out, so it will just dissipate from here. It'll start at the beginning and it'll go all the way in. So it's kind of an interesting buff, especially for something like pro play where you're doing that more coordinated hit. It could be a lot more useful. It's going to be kind of useful in ranked, not really. Wall duration to 4 seconds. I think this is kind of a buff, because a lot of times the wall will just create so much chaos, it's not really advantageous to you. And then, so her sprint. So Neon no longer has a strafe speed reduced, so that means that she's always moving sideways at the same amount of time, same amount of speed as she is moving forwards. And then time until fuel regen, 60 seconds to 20 seconds, which is a crazy buff. This means that you're pretty much always going to have sprint up, which is pretty insane if you think about it, because you can always instantly rotate pretty much on defense, on attack, even after you use it all on entry. You'll definitely still have some for post plant. It's just kind of a crazy buff, especially on that rotate. The slide charges from 1 to 2. Not really a big change in my opinion. I mean, the slide is alright. It's just kind of like an auxiliary to the sprint. It's not a crazy buff, but it's alright. And then just kind of some random changes. And then relay bolt to 1 charge, definitely going to hurt a little bit. But the concuss duration and the wind-up delay is definitely going to help it a lot, because a lot of times you can just run away from the concuss. But this is definitely going to help it a lot. So yeah, so I think Neon is definitely going to be in the upper echelon of agents now. Especially for ranked. I've had a lot of Neons just go crazy in games recently. And I think that, honestly think Neon wasn't even that bad before, but I think that she was outshadowed by Raze by a lot. But obviously with the Raze nerfs that we're about to get to, you'll see it how I think Neon actually going to be above ISO in how good she is in ranked. So next we can look at, we'll skip Reyna for now, we'll look at Raze. So Raze's satchels no longer explode for damage or knockback upon destruction. Basically means if you shoot it, the satchel isn't going to do anything, which honestly makes a lot more sense, but because before there wasn't really any bonus to shooting the satchel, there was just no point. And so, yeah, and then now Raze's horizontal velocity when satcheling has been slowed. So that means some people did some tests. It's about 20% in how much slower she is, which isn't a crazy nerf, but it is going to be important. Something like from bind short over the truck into U-Haul probably is going to be a lot harder, if it even is still possible. Stuff like double satcheling through B main on the scent isn't going to be possible anymore to get on top of Jenny. So just like a lot of the more longer, more like some of like the niche satchels, it's not really a crazy nerf. And then satchel explosion audio has been updated to be audible farther away to ensure enemies can hear the first satchel. So I think Raze is definitely still an A tier agent. I think that ISO and Neon are going to be a better pick right now, especially if you're any good at Neon. I think that Neon will be a much better pick than Raze right now. Just because of how high the skill ceiling is on Neon, and especially with these new buffs, especially to their strafe speed. So next is Reyna. Reyna got some pretty decent size changes. So healing decreased from 100 to 50, definitely a pretty big nerf, but honestly, there's not many times when you're getting a whole 100% heal from the Reyna Devour, so it's not that crazy of a nerf. But a crazy buff is that the Overhero of Armor no longer decays after a timer. So basically, once you heal past 100, it used to decay, now it won't, and that's a crazy good buff, because that means you'll have more HP later into those rounds. Top speed increased from 9.1 to 12 meters, and total duration decreased. So it means that you can move the same amount of like distance with the dismiss, but you just do it a lot faster now, which is actually a really, really good buff, because it allows you to, like before, maybe when you dismiss, people would chase you and could possibly catch you at the end of that dismiss, but now it's almost impossible to chase a Reyna who's dismissed. And Empress no longer has a timer, and is permanent until Reyna is killed, which is another crazy buff similar to the Devour. I mean, you can just pop that at the beginning of the round, not even have to worry about it. So I think it's just going to be crazy buffs overall for Reyna. I think Reyna is definitely still S tier for ranked. Obviously pro play, down here, which this is a much different tier list than the pro play tier list. Obviously in pro play, I probably have Raze up here. But for ranked, I don't know which is the best duelist right now for ranked. This is a tough one, because ISO is really, really good right now, especially with the ult. The ult is so good for ISO. I think for now I'm going to put ISO above Reyna, just because how they have very similar characteristics, but ISO, that shield is very powerful in taking that first duel. Reyna doesn't really have that advantage, besides the blind, but the blind really is not as good as the shield and initiating those fights. So I'm going to put ISO above Reyna. I might even put ISO above Neon, but that's a later one. Yoru didn't receive any changes here, so he's probably just going to be, I mean, it's Yoru, is pretty average right now. If you're good at him, he's an S tier. If you're bad at him, he's an F tier. So I'll probably just split the difference and put him in B. Finally, Jett. Jett is just not amazing for ranked right now. I mean, she's alright, I guess. Not as good as Raze. Is she better than Yoru? I don't know. I'm gonna say, honestly, if you get a really good Jett, yeah. I'm gonna say she's better than Yoru, but not as good as Raze. Now we're done with the duelists and onto the initiators. So first initiator is KO. KO in ranked is alright. I mean, he's just alright though. He's definitely a B tier. I just don't know where to put him in the B tier. I think I would rather have a Teo on my team. I think he's probably top of B tier, to be honest. He's not amazing. Same thing with Fade. I'd put Fade here as well. I mean, I feel like especially in ranked, you just get a lot of very mid fades. You know what I mean? Like, they're just not that good. And even like if you do have a really good fade, like I would much rather just have a Sova on pretty much every map. Gecko is gonna go A tier. Is Gecko better than Raze? I'm gonna say with the nerfs, Gecko is better than Raze. Sova. Let's say Sova is slightly better than Raze, not as good as Gecko. I think that Gecko ult is so strong right now. Sky is still pretty good, but there's just so many better initiators. And now finally Breach. I think with Haven coming back and Breeze leaving, and I think that Breach might also be pretty decent on the new map. That could be very wrong in a couple months, but I think he'll be pretty decent. I'm actually gonna put a Breach in B tier, especially for ranked, where you can just kind of run it down with all that Breach util, and it's just so good at clearing space. I think it's definitely gonna be good. Harbor, F tier for ranked. You don't have any util to get kills. You're kind of just the bomb guy. No aggressive utility. Pretty much just all smokes. Brimstone. Brimstone is also a D tier. No rechargeable smokes. Really hurts him a lot. And then the stim is not really even useful at all. The ult is very good, but the molly's good. But there's just so many better smokes I would rather play. And I'll put him below Phoenix. Clove, however, Clove is a weird one. I think Clove is probably A tier. Where is she though? I think would I rather have a Clove or a Sova? Honestly, I don't really care. Clove can go anywhere in this A tier. I'm just gonna put her here for now. But in all honesty, Clove can go anywhere in here. I mean, I would be fine with Clove here, here. Put that like that. Next is Astra. Honestly, like Astra's alright, but it's not an Astra problem. It's the fact that Clove and Omen exist. So I would not be playing Astra that much. I mean, unless it's a map like, I don't know, like I don't even know what map I would play Astra over Omen on. Like, she's just not that good right now. I just pick Omen over her pretty much every time. Viper got nerfed to hell a couple patches ago. So actually, in ranked, kind of a hot take. I'm going to put Viper in the C. Like, because in ranked, you know, most of the time, if you're a smokes player, you're the only smokes player. So you're not getting that double smokes, which is the main reason that people play Viper. So no double smokes. You're playing solo Viper. And especially with Breeze leaving the map pool, like, the only map you can play solo Viper on is Icebox, realistically. Because no Breeze is really going to hurt Viper a lot in ranked. So I'm going to say Viper is C. Finally, Omen. Omen's definitely the best smokes out there right now. It's just, is he A tier or is he S tier? I'm going to say S tier just because Omen is so unique that he has that TP and that flash that he can play very aggressive, which is very important in ranked. I think Clove is very similar, but she doesn't really have the same level as Omen does. Because I think that Omen can make some of those really aggressive plays, but also take some really good lurk timings because of how his smoke works with the range. The range of Clove really hurts her a lot. And so I think that he can just be so aggressive, which really helps you in ranked. And finally, we have our Sentinels. Cypher is probably the best Sentinel to play right now. Not S tier, though. Probably put him somewhere in this A tier. Honestly, like, all of these characters could go ahead of each other, except for Gecko and Sova. But, like, you know, none of these characters are competing, to be honest. Like, you know what I mean? They're all different. So, honestly, I'd be fine with any of these anywhere up here. Sage in ranked is, I don't know. She's weird. Because she can be good, but she's also not. I think in lower ranks, she's obviously like your silver and below. She's very good, but in ranked as a whole, like she's very 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 bad. I'm gonna say bottom of C tier, but I want Sage above Phoenix. I'll put her in. I'll put her in D tier. I might change that later though. Killjoy. Killjoy's very mid. B tier is fine. The ult is good, but it's 9 cost. The range really hurts her. The mollies are good, but Cypher's just better. Chamber in ranked is weird because he can be really good, but there's just so many better characters that can do his job better. You know what I mean? Like a Jet would be a better opping character. Also with ISO coming out, like the shield is really gonna hurt him. Like ISO directly counters this guy. Like I don't know. Would I rather have a Sova or not Sova, Chamber or Killjoy? I'm gonna put Chamber top of C, and then finally Deadlock. I think Deadlock's pretty good in ranked actually, especially on attack. I think that she can help a lot now with the buffs to her wall, the buff to her grab net. I think she can help a lot. The issue is she can't hold flank. But on a map like a Lotus or something, she can be very powerful. Not maps like Ascent. Definitely can be powerful on the map like Lotus, or maybe even like a double Sentinel. If you have someone else pick Killjoy or Cypher, you could also lock Deadlock. I think Deadlock's better than Chamber. So that's the whole tier list. Do I want to change anything though? Why don't I go ahead and change? It looks pretty good, honestly. I think I'm fine with it. Yeah. I think it's pretty good. So obviously we have these new changes, and I haven't played a lot of Abyss yet, so I don't know how that's going to affect the pick rate of agents. I don't know what's going to be meta at all on Abyss yet. Maybe I'll do some studying, and that can be my next video. But yeah, we've got some crazy buffs for ISO. He's been running it down in a lot of my ranked games. I mean, I've had a lot of Neons drop like 35. I've had a lot of ISOs drop 35. Reyna's obviously just going to be really good in ranked, always, unless they rework her. And I think Reyna's really... I don't know. Reyna's really causing a problem in ranked. So I think there needs to be a rework of that agent. But, yeah, this is my tier list.